Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Kenny. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining this morning. Hope everybody's had a great Thanksgiving. I don't think I've talked to anybody, I guess, since then. They're going well here in the city. I will say this first and foremost. We were supposed to have the BPAC walk tonight to view the Christmas lights. And I made a decision yesterday, so I'll be the one to blame, but that's okay. I feel like it's the right thing to do. We've got quite a few people here that have either been exposed to.
Whoop. Is that me or him?
Y'all there?
We are. You said you're going to take the credit or the blame for tonight, but you didn't tell us what the surprise announcement was.
Yeah, but we basically we're canceling the Christmas light walk for tonight. That was supposed to be tonight in Jackson Hills. And I hate that because I was looking forward to that myself. But I just felt like with all the people that we've had either exposed or the people that we've got newly diagnosed with COVID over the weekend in one of our departments, that I'd put too many people at risk. And the last thing we wanted to do is have somebody participate. They might have COVID. So we decided just best to cancel it. And that way, if folks still want to go and do it, they can. And if you want to get in your car and go through there, you can. The lights are up. But I just felt like it was not worth the risk to do that. So if you know of anybody that's planning on going, we did cancel that event for tonight at Jackson Hills.
I think everybody, at least those on this phone call for sure, would be 100% in support of you. Why ask for it?
Yeah, exactly. And I hated that. And probably if we'd had the same information today, prior to the Christmas parade, we might have done the same thing there as well. But fortunately, we didn't have this outbreak like we do now. And Mark, I know you're one of the ones that's dealt with it. You know how serious it is. So just couldn't take any chance. But I'll start off first by saying Merry Christmas to everybody. I won't see you at the end of this week, but with all that we've all been together as a team and as a family here in Mount Juliet and Wilson County, we've all went through this together. I guess the one shining bright moment is our people and also the sales tax numbers. Mark, I heard you talking about that. And I get asked every time that sales tax report comes out and the numbers are way over last year's numbers, what do you think's driving that? And I said, well, I think it's staycations. You know, people aren't traveling, so they're spending their money at home. I think a lot of it's pent-up demand. I think it's the sales tax increase. And of course, I think it's a lot of people working from home. And we live in a blessed state and in a blessed community. So I think there's a lot of things that people were wanting to do when they were super busy before, but now that they're at home, they're doing kitchen remodels and buying a new fridge and buying new cars, things of that nature. I've talked to all the car dealers and they're all doing well as well. So we were blessed. I can't imagine what we'd have been like during all this if sales tax numbers were down as well and businesses were struggling even more. But from everybody I'm talking, they're doing really well. The thing to find right now is help.
Well, you
Some of the other stuff, the bridge widening project at 4.
Hey, Kenny, back up, you said the only thing holding them up is that we need is staffing help, if I'm not mistaken. After that, we are nothing.
Yeah, I had switched over now from the staffing of some of the businesses. You know, they're still trying to find help, and if I have to, I can log out of this and go into my desktop if that'll help.
I think you're all right so far. Oh yeah, you're out.
Out again.
Can you do that for us real quick?
Yeah, give me just a second, everybody.
That's right. I've got a Christmas carol I'll sing. If you've never heard Snoopy and the Red Baron, one of my favorites from the 60s. And Marla's shaking her head. She hears it every day. Hey, Ray, how much did Santa have to pay for his sleigh? Do you know?
Marla's saying, don't go to that rabbit hole.
It didn't cost.
I don't know.
It didn't cost anything. It was on the house.
Speaking of on the house, there's a lot more from the house coming today.
Right.
So there's billions and billions of dollars that's going to be passed out for Christmas.
They apparently wanted to come home for Christmas and didn't want to leave without doing something. So I waited up as long as I could last night, and I saw it finally got passed in the Senate. So the proverbial check's in the mail, right?
I'm sure we will be getting that phone call today.
I think Kenny's back. Whoop, he was back on.
I think Rochelle Regard's got the checkbook, so just go to grade A and she'll start writing out those $600 checks for everybody. So,
Hey, I'm
Let's
blessed.
see.
I'm blessed to have a friend that works there. His name is Ian, and he's one of the most delightful
That's the thing cranked.
I've met in 2020. So,
All right. Can y'all hear me now?
much better.
All right. This is my desktop. Sorry about that. I hardly ever use that laptop, but anyway.
Much better. Thank you.
Yeah, but basically I was going to talk about the bridge at 40. I'd switched from a thing about a lot of our businesses are having a hard time finding folks. And I don't know if that's because the unemployment benefits are so great or what, but Slotsky's is a perfect example. And that's something I'd like to see change a little bit. But other than that, businesses are doing extremely well. So I'm happy about that. But the bridge widening at 40 has started, which is a good sign. I know everybody's been asking about that. So I wanted to pitch that out there. All the other street projects are going as well as could be expected. They never happen as quick as you'd like for them to, but they are at least in the queue, and the guys are doing the engineering work on them. So that's a good thing. And of course, everybody, if you've driven around town, you've seen the sidewalks, and we're trying to extend even those sidewalks by getting additional grants from the state. So hope everybody's appreciating adding the sidewalks. And I think it's going to transform Lebanon Road in a big way. Because Lebanon Road's never had sidewalks, and you can tell by Mount Juliet Road, the aesthetics of it, things of that nature, that walkability and that synergy you get from sidewalks. And we're also looking at adding some street lights to the Highway 70 corridor as well. So, you know, those things, working with Middle Tennessee Electric on that now and some pricing of what that cost would look like with engineering and all. And that should be quite easy, but it may just be a little costly. So, trying to think what else to tell everybody about that's going on right now.
Hey, Kenny, while you're getting your thoughts together, the bridge widening, if I'm not mistaken, that was going to be a 12 to 14 month project. Has the 12 to 14 month project, has that meter started running at this point?
Yes, it has. Yes. And the exciting thing about that is, I mean, when you say bridges can be pretty, this bridge is going to be pretty compared to what we've got now. All we got right now is just basically two concrete barricade walls to keep you from going off the road, but there'll be bike lanes, there'll be sidewalks, there'll be decorative street lighting. It just won't be brick, you know, in stone. It's going to be some ornateness to it. So, which is nice. You'll know when you're getting off at Mount Juliet, it'll totally change that area. There'll be some additional landscaping going in. So we're very excited about that as well. So, you know, it's hate to say that you get excited about a road project, but even just getting the lane itself is a blessing, but to get it to where it actually looks super nice, that's another good thing. And to see it come to fruition, because we've been working at this for a long time, and y'all been patient with us while we get to this point. But something, I guess most importantly, I got my notes out here, and I was going to tell folks about some businesses we're working with. I think the last time we talked, I was talking about the Cadillac dealer. They have made a offer on a piece of property. I guess you'd say it's a letter of intent. And it's on the 5 acres that's to the right of Rocky Williams Dodge Chrysler, if you're familiar with them, Jeep up at Paddocks. And so that's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is that they have made a letter of intent and are moving through the process to eventually come to plan and get on the agenda and hopefully get us a Cadillac dealer here in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. The bad thing is that Mr. Rocky wanted that 5 acres too to do an expansion for his business. So that expansion would have been nice, but of course, if the Cadillac dealership goes through, which I hope it does, that would eliminate that possibility. But if this site doesn't work for Cadillac, we'll simply put them somewhere else, and then Rocky could come back and get that additional 5 acres. So is there any questions so far? I just didn't want to burn through this. I want to make sure in case anybody's got any questions.
That's good. Love, you know, new car dealerships are instant sales tax. I mean, they jump to the top of the line. They're up there with, you know, even Tri-Green, the tractor, one of our other large sales tax. So love to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, it just speaks volumes about Mount Juliet and about car sales, about what's going on in this community. And when I say this community, of course, in Mount Juliet, I'm also talking about all of Wilson County. I think we're blessed to be here. And I've always said that, you know, we can't change a lot of things that happen. Ray can, from his perspective, can affect things or impact things beyond the city limits. But our goal here is to focus on the city limits and make it better today than it was yesterday, and better tomorrow than it is today. So I'm really excited about that, because if you get a Cadillac dealer, and think about this, if you get the Cadillac dealer at the Mount Juliet Road exit, we haven't even touched Golden Bear yet. And when you think about Halbone's property out there by HCA and the medical center that's out there, there's a lot of property right beside that makes all the sense in the world for that. So very excited about that. I can tell you, I can't tell you a whole lot more, but we do have an organic grocery that's been looking pretty hot and heavy in Mount Juliet. I can't tell you who they are, of course, but I can tell you that they are definitely looking. And there's about 3 different sites in mind right now. So that's always a good thing. That seems to get people excited. We've been talking about that for a long time. It doesn't mean it'll happen, but the fact that in this environment that they are looking at that many sites, that's a good thing. Another piece of property that we showed, and I can't say the piece of property, but I think I told everybody here about an exotic car dealer that we're working with that's out of Williamson County. We've shown them a multitude of sites. The most recent site that we showed them, they have since put a letter of intent on that as well. And I've never seen a car dealer that when you look at their website, there's cars ranging from $35,000 to well over $1 million for a car. And so this particular dealership has been around for some time. As you can imagine, people travel from all over the country and beyond to buy cars. These folks typically are collectors, and they'll order a car sight unseen, and then it gets shipped to them. And then some folks, of course, come and pick them up as well. So that's a pretty cool business to have looking at your community. And like I said, they've made a letter of intent on a piece of property. So now they'll start doing their due diligence as far as, what they can get on the site and if the engineering and things of that nature work. But it'd be right in the heart of Mount Juliet, I can tell you that. So any questions so far on that? So our hope is that they're going to let us have one of those like loaner cars, so like we call it, Mark, when you get a car from a dealer, courtesy car. Yeah, give us a courtesy car, maybe like a Lambo or Maserati or something like that. I see the ladies on here, maybe there's some type of car. Any of you ladies have any recommendations for a car you like to sort of use as a courtesy car?
Call it a fantasy car.
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. I'm really excited about that because they would build about a 30,000 square foot facility and all the cars would be within that facility. There'd be no cars outside. So literally driving by it, you would just see an attractive building, and inside of that would be these elite automobiles. And at some point, I'll tell you a little bit more about it so that you can go in there and check out their website. So really excited about that. A lot of hard work goes into that. And something else that had come up here recently that I wanted to talk to you all about is it's a good question that comes from our citizens sometimes when they hear about new space coming, especially commercial and retail space. They go, well, why are you adding more space when you've got empty space? And I think you'll all agree, Mark, I know that you will, being in the chamber business, and Miss Marla, it's okay to have some vacant space. And the reason is for example, when Logan's closed, looking at Logan's today and it's still sitting there empty sort of breaks your heart because you lost Logan's. The good thing is it had Logan's not closed, we wouldn't be getting ML Rose. For example, when Pier 1 closed, if you're driving by it and you don't know any better and you're a citizen and you see that Pier 1 is closed today, you don't realize that Advanced Auto Parts and a tobacco shop. And when I say tobacco shop, it's not like, a beer and tobacco shop. From what I understand, it's taking the other 3,000 square feet in that. They sell pipes and pipe tobacco and cigars and things of that nature, is looking at going in the other 3,000 square feet. So just like that, you have 2 businesses as opposed to 1 business going in an old location. And I hope that makes sense. So having a vacant space, for example, like Lifeway Books that was in Providence. Does everybody remember that? But when they closed, you've got the empty space. Well, the exciting thing about it is now it's going to be a Sephora. I hope I'm saying that right. You ladies know that better than I do. That's great because right now they're located inside of JCPenney. Well, they'll have their own freestanding store, basically their own space, which means they can carry a whole lot more product. So I just want to assure everybody that when you hear about these new centers that are coming, like there's a new retail center proposed for across from the West Wilson Middle School, and one of our local developers, Mark, I think that actually built your building, is looking at doing a retail center there. A very nice developer. Well, I get excited about that because it transforms that area and it gives me another opportunity to have a vacant space that I can then go recruit businesses. And a lot of businesses, for example, like First Watch, the breakfast place, they're very specific about where they want to be. They normally want to be in a very good area and they want to be on the right-hand side of the road going toward the interstate. Because breakfast is normally something that you do in the morning and usually it's something you do on the way to work. So it gives me an opportunity, and you and others, to reach out to these businesses we don't have. And, just because we've got an empty space don't mean that it'll fit every business, if that makes sense. So when you see that, don't get concerned. If you go through Providence right now, you'll see a handful of businesses that are vacant, but just know that behind the scenes, not only is Providence working with them, but we're working with them here at the city to fill in those vacancies. And sometimes they don't want to fill them in day one. Sometimes they're willing to wait 6 months or even a year to backfill those spaces, because for one is they're still being paid the rent. So even though the space is empty and it's not as much synergy going on in that particular area, they're still collecting rent, and then they can afford to be patient to make sure they pick the right tenant to go back in that space. So when you see that, and you all been in the business community, please, and you hear somebody talking about that, please explain to them that it's not bad necessarily to have a vacant space. Another example would be that when Subway left Paddocks, we had the oven. What is it? Help me out here, Mark.
Jersey?
Yeah, Jersey Oven. We had Jersey Oven fill that space. When we had the vitamin shop go out up by Exxon on Mount Jet Road, we had Bubba Coos, which is going in there now, and Subway on the other side. I know some folks may not be Subway fans, but what basically happened is Subway moved from Paddocks over to this location right on Mount Jet Road, right next door to the Big Bad Wolf. And that may not be what folks wanted, but it creates synergy. It creates two new businesses from what was a vacant building. So that's been a big passion of mine, is that when you see that and you hear about somebody building something else new, it's always good to have a vacant spot. For example, Old Dog Sanctuary is currently in their building. They're building a brand new building on Oliver Road. So for a short period of time, that building is likely that they're in now to sit empty or vacant. And it's going to look bad for a while because it sits vacant until somebody else comes along, of course, and we can show them that space and then they move into it. So then you've got a net gain of another business. For example, like the car wash down on Lebanon Road next to Tractor Supply, it is set vacant for 2 years. It looks absolutely hideous, and I can't wait for it to be gone. And it may not be the perfect business to go back in there for some folks. It may not be what they want, but there's an O'Reilly Auto Parts store that's going to be locating there, which will help us draw sales tax from Davidson County. And that's why it's being built there, because a lot of the business that the O'Reilly and Mount Juliet services is just throughout West Lebanon, and then of course into the other parts of Mount Juliet. So that's another net gain business to replace an old place that wouldn't be there. Another example, Dollar General Store. I get it. We got 3 Dollar General stores on Lebanon Road, but they are the one business that no matter what the economy's doing, survives. And they always prosper. So to have a brand new Dollar General store over the one that's just down the street, when that one empties out and moves into the new building, it gives me an opportunity to take the old building and put another business in it, a net gain of another business. So I really wanted to talk about that this morning, and I'll move on from that. But I think that gives a few examples, and you've probably seen other examples in Mount Juliet to where something closed and it sat there for a little bit and then something else went in, sort of like Thai Samurai. Is that it? Samurai Thai? Is that it, Mark? I always get that backwards. The new Thai restaurant in Providence. Is that it? Yeah, I mean, and then they're doing well. They took an old vacant space. We're also looking for a location for, I don't know if you've heard of not a business called Pieology. It's a pizza place. Has anybody ever heard of that, Pieology? And they're looking for a space. Well, you're talking about somewhere close to 3,000 square feet. Well, if I don't have a 3,000 square foot vacancy that fits our needs, I need a new location, if that makes sense. So I'll go down the list of businesses that we're working with right now. Pizza Hut closed on Mount Jet Road across from Mount Jet Middle School. The Candied Rib is moving into that location. That lease has already been signed and their signage is on order. Jay's Smoked Barbecue is wanting to come to Mount Juliet, so I'm trying to find them a space. But we don't have a space for them yet. Everybody knows Taco Bell's about to open and that they've remodeled the Kentucky Fried Chicken. I talked about Thai Samurai. I talked about O'Reilly. Napa Auto Parts is looking at Valley Center, which is right here in the heart of Mount Juliet. Gardner Academy, of course, is going in up there at Paddocks, the beautiful day school. Old Dog Sanctuary, talked about that. Residents of Mount Juliet, which is on Blenda Parkway across from Two Rivers Ford. It's not open yet, but they're going along really well. The Honda dealer of Music City Honda is wanting to move their body shop operations from Rivergate to Mount Juliet. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, because it would finish out that upper east side lot to the right of Music City Honda. and that building would look just like the dealership, but house their body shop operations. Um, the new Avid Hotel has just broke ground right across the street from, to give you sort of an area, Jason's Deli. You know, you've got that big field. Well, on the back side of that field, there's a brand new hotel called Avid that just broke ground. That's going in right there. Then you've got the Goddard Day School, and then you've got, of course, the True Brand Hotel that's already under construction. So that, just in a nutshell, is just a handful of business to give you an example of activity that's going on as we speak, and that doesn't name it all. You know, that doesn't get into, Providence Central. It doesn't get into Capstone. It doesn't get into the, Golden Bear Parkway and some of the businesses looking out there. You know, the Exxon that's going in out there, the new trailhead that's going in with the restroom facility that's going in across from Amazon. Didn't get into Amazon. We could go on, but I'll conclude with that because it gives us about 7 minutes. And I'm open for questions from here on out. Basically, we're just extremely blessed to be right in the middle of a pandemic coming off the heels of a tornado. I wish I had more good news to tell you about the schools. To be honest with you, I'm not sure where that's going. My hope is that they'll take the insurance money that they can get and start the rebuilding process and fund the difference. And then if there is a lawsuit on the remainder, is that we pick that up later so that it doesn't delay the schools. But that's not for me to decide. I know the school system's working extremely hard to get that all worked out. And we're here to help them in every way we can. But unfortunately for us, that's just outside of our control since it's an insurance matter. But we do get those calls daily saying, hey, when are you going to replace the schools? And I just want everybody to know it's not something that the city in any shape, form, or fashion is delaying. We want to help the school system. We would agree with them wholeheartedly with what they're wanting to do there. But unfortunately, it's an insurance matter, and there's just nothing we can do at this particular point to expedite that. And don't know that I'm even giving you a right response, but I feel like the response is they're just some part away from one another on what they feel like is a settle amount for the schools. And Mark, you may have heard something different on that.
No, I think that's consistent with what Mickey and Dr. Wright and the school board have been saying. Mike Jennings, almost word for word, the same thing.
Yeah, it's disappointing and frustrating to some degree because I know in the meantime, it just looks like two old buildings sitting there. But I know the school system wants to get them open because we're going to get past this pandemic, and these kids are still going to be displaced into these other schools, and they don't function right when they're, when you have one school taking in two other schools, they just don't function right. That's not what they were built for. But they're doing a bang up job with what they can, considering all that they're dealing with. But I just want everybody's life to get back to normal. And I know you all feel the same. Sometimes we feel like it's just us. We have to remind ourselves all the time we're all going through this. And the ones that's got little kids at home, it's even tougher on. And, my son's grown, but I've got a third grandbaby on the way, and I totally get it. They'll be going to school here as well. And so anyways.
Well, just a couple of quick things. There's dirt moving again. They're starting to put up silt fence and got the crew.
Hey, Mark froze now, didn't he?
And did I lose? Oh, you got.
You did. Try that again, Mark.
There's construction equipment out, silt fence up at the clock tower again for obviously some more work. And then I believe I saw that the Mount Juliet Police Department at least is going to do away with walk-ins and kind of hunker down. At one time in the past, City Hall has done that. Can you give us an idea of what you might be facing?
Yeah, I got an update over the weekend. Unfortunately, those troops can't, they have to run towards danger, not away from it. And unfortunately, sometimes in the police department, just like within the fire, they're in close quarters. A lot of the things they do is a unit. So when you have one person come down with COVID, more than likely you're going to have multiple people. And when that happens, to keep that spread from going further, the best thing to do is just sort of shut things down. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be there to serve you. Just maybe there may be some inconveniences in the interim until we can get these people back on their feet again. But we had a little bit of an outbreak in the police department, and that's, of course, that has sort of a snowballing effect throughout the rest of the city. But it won't hamper our response times. It won't hamper your safety in any shape, form, or fashion. But unfortunately, it is going to hamper the way that the police department functions for the foreseeable future until we can get past this. There's going to be some quarantining. There's going to be some people out. That's got to get better. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to pray for them because we've been blessed. We know of a lot of people that have been sick within our structure here at the city and various departments. But thankfully, like Mark himself, most of those people have healed. But we're always worried. You can't take it lightly just because we know that the majority of people survive COVID. There's always that one possibility somebody couldn't. So we're going to continue to pray for our people and for those out there ailing. But yeah, Mark, we've shut down our records department for the remainder of this week, which means probably if you need a report or something like that, it'll probably have to wait until next week. And the reason is because the last thing you need is your dispatch section and your records department to get decimated to a point to where everybody's out. So we felt like we could just hit pause this week with it being Christmas. It'd probably be a small request week and then just kick everything to next week and give people some time to get healthy again. The illnesses aren't within records, but we got to protect our records section and our dispatch section.
Can you touch on the clock tower construction being done?
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of landscaping you're going to see at some point in front of the clock tower. The reason that hadn't happened yet, and I'd like to thank Masters Landscaping. If you're familiar with them, it's great folks. They do all the Joy Church landscaping. They did our general store landscaping at no cost to the city. And they're going to do this landscaping at no cost to the city. So if you get a chance and you see Mike Masters, tell him thank you. He's going to do a big bang up job on that clock tower when it's all said and done. The reason it hadn't happened, as Mark said, is they've broken ground on extending that right turn lane. There's also a drainage situation that we knew that when we built the clock tower existed, but we decided we would wait till it to be fixed at the same time they did the sidewalk and the right turn lane. So that drainage issue you see where it looks like a mini pond, that will go away. And so that's why the landscaping hadn't went in. But that right turn lane, Mark, it may not seem like much to those that look at it because it's just such a short distance, but it'll make making that right turn from East Division to Mount Jet Road, or even those that go west or those that turn and go back to the south, it'll make that a whole lot easier. So, and that's being done from the fine folks at Vintage Station North, the apartments. That was part of one of their improvements they had to make in the area. So a lot of times you wonder when these developments come in, what they're responsible for, and the city likes to have them be responsible for as much as they can that we feel like that they're impacted. And those guys didn't hesitate. They stepped up and said, we'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, if you don't think you need another queuing lane or whatever, come over and when Mount Juliet High School lets out, they're stacked up from there to Clemens Road practically.
That's right. Hey, I want to give everybody some good news too. We're continuing to work on the Highway 70 widening from Parkland up to I call it Golden Bear or Third or whatever everybody wants to still call it. We're still working hard on that with the state. But one of the things we're looking at possibly doing, there's a convenience market. Some people call it seed stores. It's wanting to go on that right corner of the Davis property. So if you're going down Lebanon Road East and you turn right onto Golden Bear, that corner lot, well, if that happens, we might be able to add a right turn lane through that property that could expedite in the short term for the next 3 or 4 years, having a way to turn off 11 Road without getting backed up at that bridge, because the bridge is what's going to take so long to widen that particular section of road. So keep your fingers crossed that we can pull off this project there, because if we can make that right turn through their front lot, that would expedite that little process. It might not widen Lebanon Road, but it would sort of take away that sticking point, if that makes sense. And another bit of exciting news is that I think the city is going to take on itself the expense of adding the traffic light at Highway 70 at South Green Hill Road. I've been working with the mayor and the commission, and I think they're willing to step up and say, hey, let's just fund this light ourselves. The state would be fine with that, of course. That would estimate, it may be somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000. But if you've been at South Green Hill Road and tried to get out on Highway 70, that's a little bit of a tough spot. And we're going to try to use as many parts as we can from the light we just moved from North Green Hill Road. But a lot of times those components won't work elsewhere. So we're going to try to expedite that so we can get everybody a traffic signal there. So I think that'll be, yes, you'll have to stop for it, but I think it'll be a very welcome traffic signal to make ingress and egress at that particular intersection a lot safer and for people that traverse through our city. So I'm excited about that. Matter of fact, it should hopefully be, the budget amendment should hopefully be on next Monday's City Commission agenda.
Well, you're probably $4 million up since June on sales tax. So lighten up a little bit there, Martin, and spend $1 or $2. Those people coming out of Willoughby Station, Mount Vernon Estates that want to turn left on Lebanon Road, they're taking their life into their own hands every single time. So
Yeah, and you're right, Mark. We've been blessed this year, so maybe the state will reimburse the city at some point, but we're not really focused on that. We want to get that light in. We've got a lot of demand for it. It was already sort of in the works, and we've just decided to determine a way to expedite it. And I think our elected body, they realize that one of the top priorities is always public safety. Everybody knows that. But second to that is infrastructure, and we're going to get after this infrastructure. I mean, we already were, but we're going to step it up even more going forward. So, anybody got any questions? Because I know we're right at 10:30.
yes, a food question. The Candied Rib Company, when are they going to be? When can you walk in and get ribs for lunch?
I would say probably in the next month to month and a half. They're already in there building out, and we're going to help them out on their sign. When Pizza Hut left that spot, and I'll go ahead and own it. I see Jim down at the bottom. Jim, I think, is doing the signage. Miss Jill here at City was doing the right thing. Typically, when you remove a roof sign, because they're not supposed to be allowed going forward. But when Pizza Hut left, they sort of left, and the owner of the building didn't know that they were leaving. They're going to take their sign down. So normally, once you take the sign down, you can't put another roof sign up. So I'm going to work with Jim on a creative way to do the roof sign that makes it better than what was before, but it helps out this business. And you just don't still have this big ugly bracket on top of the roof.
I would say something, I mean, you got Pizza, the sign was long and skinny. Seems to me if you had a rib bone with barbecue sauce dripping off of it, that's a good place to go. But,
and it is getting close to lunchtime, so everybody's hungry. But before we conclude, I want to thank everybody out there for everything that you do. You may not realize it, but I see a lot of wonderful people on this screen, and I know how hard you work out there in this community. And the reason we're successful is because, and I know it sounds hokey, but it's a God's honest truth, and we need to tell each other this more often. Mount Juliet wouldn't be what it is without people like yourselves. And Mount Juliet wouldn't be what it is without fine folks, just like Miss Tracy Pope there in Lebanon, for what Lebanon's doing. We lived in a very blessed county, period. And it takes everybody pulling together. And I know it sounds hokey, but you know what? We need more hokey. We are so blessed, and I try to remind myself, and that's going to be my New Year's resolution, and I'm going to encourage everybody else going forward, is in spite of everything that we go through and stuff that we can't control, by golly, what we can control is what goes on in this county. And we can lead the world in this state and show people how it's done. And I think we've been doing that, and we're going to do even better next year. So I just want to thank y'all. I thank you for blessing me with what we've got in our community and 31 years of serving this city. And I can't do this alone, and we can't do it alone as a city. When we say city, it's everybody.
well, you're preaching to the choir here, because these people, my mom, when she lived here she moved here from Florida, and she said, the one thing I found about Mount Juliet, the more you love it, the more it loves you back. So to everybody on here, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us. Marla will get this edited down and on the website, so you can please share it. Don't hesitate to give us a call. We're going to try to set the example. Our team is working remotely the rest of the year. We're still taking care of business. We're glad to help out, but there won't be anybody in the office. None of us want to get sick again, and we'll still take care of customers. Don't hesitate to give us a call, but we might be wearing pajama bottoms when you see us. I'm not going to say for anybody else except for myself. So, that's right. Yeah. So y'all have a good day. Wait on your check. Ray said the check's in the mail. So, and whatever you can, spend it local. Wash your hands, keep your distance, no large crowds, and have a mask on. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Kenny.
Make y'all.